idea. All right, let's start out with fire protection. You all have copies of everything on what the cost is gonna be. The cost for us, estimated cost, just to get us up to standard with the state and equipment we need, is $738,000. $738,377. Okay? That's almost we're figuring probably 800,000. If you look, you'll see what the trucks cost. After 5 years, it is required by the state that the fire trucks get new tires. Okay? After 25 years, or after 15 years, they have to be refurbished by state. Okay, after 25 years, the state does not want to have them in service. If you look at your sheet, one of the trucks is hitting 25 years of this year. Okay, so if we get a service and get it back, so it's state standard, eventually we're gonna have to dump that truck too. We have a pickup truck that the DNR gave us. You always see it in the fire, out in the fire parking lot, at the fire hall, except for that one with the box on the back for water. That's a brush truck. It really doesn't operate too well. They need one of them also. So you see, the new fire truck is $550,000. That takes a year. We ordered it today. It's a year out, and that's an estimated price. We need to do something now because there's a new standard coming up in 26 on engine emissions. So everything's gonna change and the engines are gonna cost far more money, is what I'm told. One of the equipment items that they need, there's an item that's infrared scanner. If there's a fire, they can go up with the scanner and look in the building and see if people are in there. Very important to have. That's an expensive item. I didn't give you the breakdown on that. I think it's in the list. But that's what that is. I can see. That is equipment list. Oh, that's a new truck. Okay, it's a 3M Scott B320 thermal imager. This is what it does. This is a little handheld thing. You put it up next to the fire, and it shows infrared on if there's someone in there. Okay, not in here because the fire department working with Marquette Fire Association, they right now filed for a grant for a radio. One radio's a little over $8,000. So the county fire association is trying to get radios for everybody within the county. Hopefully they'll get that. If not, eventually we have to get also pagers and radios. So as of that, the millage, we were turned down on Act 33, special assessment for fire protection, which allows us to go to 10 mills as a board if we wanted to, if you said yes. We would never have done that. We're looking at about 2 mills for 10 years for operation and equipment and maintenance. That would take care of the fire department for 10 years, and they would have money to upgrade their system and buy more equipment, because this equipment, after so many years, has to be changed out. So that's where we're at on that. We turned it down. We talked, the assessor and I, we do not want to really go to the apple twice. If we went to the apple twice, we could go ahead without your approval and start the process. Every property owner would get a certified letter stating we're having a public hearing on an Act 33 special set of fire protection. We would go through that hearing, and we would discuss what the millage rate would be and all that, get set on that, give you all the numbers, and we would have to send out for another public hearing after so many days, certified letter to 2,200 over 2,200 property owners. Then, after the first hearing, if someone wanted to get a petition for a referendum to take it to the vote again, you would have to have 10% of the property owners on a referendum. And if that happened and you wanted to take it to a vote again on Act 33, it only goes to even years till it would have to go to a general election in 2024. That would be very costly for us to do the certified letters and go through all this. And then if you want, and you got somebody, you got 10% of the property owners, which is not very many, you could get that just in town. That would be costly in the end. So we discussed on going for an extra millage. You have a sheet in front of you that the assessor printed up. This is all the townships that have millages. If they have an Act 33, if they have an extra millage, what year it expires. If you look at Champion, it has NA in it. They have been running a millage for years, and it doesn't end until their board decides it does. They have millions of dollars in there for emergency and fire for EMS. They only have 300 and some people in their township. Okay? Humboldt, you'll see theirs. You'll see the ones that don't. The ones that don't, you'll see the other towns that are close to them. They usually do service for them and they pay for it. Ely does not have a fire department. They spend $4,400 a month, the West Ishpeming Fire Department, for service in their township. They do have Ely first responders group. Okay? They are in with 5 townships. We got a first responders group starting May 24th. Eventually, our ambulance will be given to them and there'll be ambulance service on the west end again. That's in the process. Just to let you know. So this gives you some information. I gave you a sheet that tells you about Act 33, extra millages and that. And I'll let the assessor take over.
So on this sheet, there's a lot of information here. If you have questions, just feel free to ask as we go through it. But Marquette County, and the data here centers on Marquette County and the townships within it. There's 19 townships in total in Marquette County. 11 of them have either a special assessment, Act 33, or an extra voted millage. Jim already went through a couple of the townships that are in here, but you can see the 3 that levy the Act 33 special assessment are Champion, Marquette Township, and Negaunee Township. Marquette Township actually levies both the Act 33 and the ad valorem extra voted millage that is primarily for equipment on top of the special assessments. I'm not sure why they did it that way, but they're the only township in the county that has both the special assessment and the extra voted. So there's 2 ways to fund a fire program in a township effectively in Michigan. That's the Act 33 special assessment. 3 townships in Marquette County use that right now. Or there's the extra voted millage, where it would be 8 townships in Marquette County use the extra voted. The extra voted has got some limitations. You can only go so high in individual townships with combined aggregate millage rates between the schools and the county and all of the taxing entities. There's a 50 mil limit, so there's a limitation on that. Right now, the Republic Township is under that, so 2 mills were adopted by the voters if the extra voted is the path that is chosen. There still is room under that limitation. There is no such limitation on the Act 33. And the other reason is the Act 33 is used by townships is because a lot of times when you do fire department funding, you're going after capital, and there's a Headley amendment that annually rolls back the tax rates for townships for operating. That, does not apply to the Act 33 special assessment. So if you're gonna go for bonded debt for fire trucks and equipment, that's one of the things the bonding agents look at is, you know, the type of revenue that you have. So the extra voted does roll back annually under the Headley Amendment, you know, so that is something that has to be planned for, basically, knowing that that will likely happen over the course of the 10 years that this millage is proposed out there. So that's really the extra. The extra voted is really the same as millages you see on your tax bills, such as your road millage, for example. That's an extra voted. So the fire millage would be the same as that in the type of millage that it is, kind of concept. Okay. Whereas the Act 33 is different. That goes back to 1941. I think it's starting to lose some of its popularity because it's complicated to get in, as we found out, and we got a lot of feedback, a lot of good feedback of what's not liked about the Act 33. Whereas the extra voted, in the ballot language, you'll read exactly, you know, this is what the township is proposing of its voters is, you know, 2 mills, whereas the special assessment, you have to first adopt a district and then come back for the financing part of it, and that's where the ballot language and the vote, you know, kind of went down. So, any questions on that part of it so far? So, in Marquette County, there are 8 townships that do not levy in the middle and in yellow in this sheet. They do not levy a fire millage. There's a couple of exceptions to that. Chocolate Township, for example, you probably drive by it quite frequently on US 41. They've got a fire department out by the road. They are a charter township, so they have more millage rates available to them through the charter mechanism. Republic is a general law common township. It does not have the higher millage rates. So Chocolate Township is able to fund its fire program that way through the charter. The other ones I'm not really sure about. Some of these are smaller, like Ely and Howell. I think Forsyth is also a charter township. But what I thought would be, you know, good for everybody to see is if you look at the total PRE rates, which is your principal residence exemption. So if your home that you live in here in the township, you pay right now, and these are approximations, but you pay about 26 mils per thousand for your PRE. Okay. Actually, just under 26, 25.5961 is what you pay right now. If you don't, if you have a camp or you have a lake property or, you know, even vacant land and you don't have a principal residence exemption on it, you pay about 43.5 mils per thousand. Okay. The difference being the school operating millage, the 18 mils, that does not apply to you know, to your second properties or properties that you know, non-residents, you know, would have stuff. So if you look at all of these rates of the townships that levy fire millage and those that even don't, and if you look at the kind of down here towards the bottom in orange, what I wanted to point out is, and maybe many of you are thinking this, that there was a lot of millages in the November election that were asked for adoption. The renewal of the dam millage, the renewal of the township operating millage, which comes up about every 5 years, and renewal and increase of the road millage, which is now going to go from 2 mils to 3 mils. So effectively, those 3 ballot languages are going to raise the tax rate by about 1 mil. So the proposal here is to ask for 2 mils of extra voted. Again, we got the feedback, we listened, and this is the route that would be proposed, is to go through the extra voted route. The tax rate that would result from that, from the additional road millage and the 2 mils from the fire, puts the township at about 46.5 mils. And if you look at all of the other townships that levy, and even those that don't levy, we're pretty much right in the middle of those tax rates. It doesn't put us on any extreme end, either higher or lower. We're pretty much right in the middle of it. You have a lot of townships that have higher tax rates, like Richmond, for example, or let me see, some of these like Marquette, Michigan Township would be higher. So point is that Republic would be still from a competitive standpoint, from, like I tell my kids, when you're looking at homes, look at the tax rates, you know, because there are some pretty extreme examples, even in Marquette County, where tax rates are much higher, much lower. But here, you know, the Republic Township would be pretty much right in the middle, you know, of it. It's not going to make us an outlier in either, you know, low or high tax rates. We're pretty much right in the middle. Jim already mentioned down on item F, if you look down towards the bottom, 2 mills will generate from the township's overall tax base, and this is projecting a little bit. You all got your assessment notices, and you see the 5% increase to your taxable values. We're projecting that 2 mills would generate about $144,000 annually, okay, for the township, for the fire village. And that goes for 10 years for the capital that Jim mentioned, of $748,000. But there's also, in addition to that, there will be ongoing operational costs for the fire department too. I don't know what those numbers are, but that's the, you know, there will be the capital and the ongoing operations over the 10-year period. So to get to what does it mean to an individual property taxpayer in the township? I gave 3 examples. You can kind of, if you know about approximately where your taxable value is, 2 mills, the average taxable value in the township is about $35,000. Overall, if you took everybody's and divided it by the number of parcels, it's about $35,000. That's $70 annually for the fire village. Your home's about $100,000, or taxable value of $50, it's about $100 annually, and $200,000 homes, about $200 is what the millage would be to individuals. So that's the facts and the figures. The other, up on top, what I put here that kind of strikes me about Republic Township, that's a little bit different, is that as you get to the west end of the county, you kind of go from your more, you know, your urbanized areas to a remote area. Republic is kind of right on the fringe of that. But it has 50 lakes and a couple of major rivers in the township. Right now, that the majority of those people are those are camps, those are, you know, non-residents, you know, type of folks that never really ask the question. But I think if you were to ask them, you know, what would be important to you, I think their safety while they're here, you know, at the lakes, for example, would be very important. You know, that the 2 mil, you know, for the fire, and this, you know, the fire departments nowadays, they do a lot of things, you know, extrication and search and rescue, and things like that as well, that would apply to a lot of the type of properties that are in Republic Township, you know, your lakes and rivers and in your more remote areas that right now the infrastructure and the equipment and such just simply isn't there to do that. And those people, you know, just like the residents, would be asked to contribute to this as well. So that's basically the math exercise, you know, of it. So, any questions? Yeah.
I'm looking at your point F, which says 2 mills will generate $144,000 a year. So over 10 years, you're generating $1.4 million to get a $750,000 bond. It seems like an awful lot of interest.
Well, that doesn't include the interest on it, and that doesn't include the
over 10 years, it costs double.
That doesn't include the operations. So that's only the capital part of it. There's also the operations of the fire department. And that's not included in here. And that, I don't know if it's going to be an equal amount. We don't have that number yet, but it's still a volunteer fire department. But there are still operational costs beyond the capital costs here. So that's why there's a 2 mil proposal over that time.
And just out of curiosity, do you know roughly how many fires the fire department responds to in a year?
That I don't.
Not getting cats out of trees, but real fires.
That, I don't have the numbers on that, but when save calls. When we had a fire on Republic Avenue, we had 5 fire departments here. Put that house fire out. I can get those numbers for our next informational meeting. This will be on the ballot. The language has to go through the lawyer, because when we go to bonding, we only can bond on what the millage says. So it will be operational, it will be maintenance and equipment. It's most likely, but the lawyers have to look at that, so we have the language right, because we only can spend that money on what the millage says. And you're asking about, we need 738,000, that's an estimated cost. That could be up to almost 800,000 when we said and done. Now, every 5 years, we have to have new tires on all the trucks. Besides the trucks you see here, we also have a tanker truck that we bought from Tenary for $8,000. That just carries water. That has to have new tires too, and serviced every once in a while. Also, we're already 25 years old on one of our international fire trucks. We're gonna get it up and running, but within 5 years, we should be looking at getting a new one to replace that, whether we get a used one or not. The state wants you to take them out of service after 25 years. We're right on the border of that truck. Our number 1 truck we need to replace. That is not a big truck, but it's 550, it could be 600. It takes, if we ordered it today, we wouldn't get that truck for another year. Okay? The fire equipment that we need to get up, the air tanks and all that, we need now. And we can get that now too. Bonding is about $10,000 of what we bought. I'll explain that more as we go into the next road.
So I have one more question. So if we have currently no millage, for how long have we had no millage?
There's never been a millage for fire protection. They did a millage for bonding and that for the fire hall. In my opinion, going back in minutes, the fire department should have been in on that fire hall. Okay? They've been paying for it out of the general fund.
So all the expenses throughout history have been paid out of the general fund?
Yes, sir. Except for the new fire hall was bonded and the millage was added. That was paid off early. Now, let's say after 10 years, we still have money in the kitty. And we figure maybe we only need 1 mill now. Cut it back, a little mill on that. We can do that. That's up to the public. And I'm gonna ask you now, do you wanna go to an extra millage or do you wanna go to Act 33 again? Can I just get a hand raised for Act 33? Okay, extra millage. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's the way we're gonna go, because the language is more there, and we don't have to pay all this money out to go to public hearings. I don't want one person to get a referendum and it costs the township more money. And that becomes difficult. The Act 33 also states you can keep, every year you have to have a public hearing and you adjust the millage, you could raise it. Well, if you make a resolution at the next public hearing and set a millage rate, it cannot be adjusted. Okay, for 10 years. It will stay at that rate, but we're gonna go with the extra millage. All right? But if we went 1 3/4 mils, 1.75, it generates $1,260,000. So that's a 1/4 point less than 2 mil. Now, it's up to the board, but that could probably work at 1.75. Because we're gonna be spending 8 to 9,000, that would leave us about 300,000. But until I have a budget meeting this March and find out what the expenses are in the fire department, then I'll know more. There will be another public hearing, informational meeting in, June, because of early voting and that. In August, it will be on the ballot. In May, first week of May, the language has to be to the clerk and county for it to be put on the ballot. So that's why I'm doing this now, and going to before the board in March to move this on the ballot for August to the people. And since they changed the law on voting, it's early voting so far in advance. Everything's everyone's trying to catch up to the new laws. So,
So if operating funds are they gonna come out of this new?
yes,
So then that's gonna free up money from the general.
that will
fund?
give the general fund some more money to move into other projects to advance this town to the 21st century. To let you know, we put up new cameras on the streets, everything. They're working now. So you're on camera driving down these roads now. We had an issue with a stabbing at the bar, and our cameras didn't work, and they only looped for 3 days. They loop for 2 weeks now. So we're trying to protect the citizens more. So, but, we could go 1.75 mils, or we could go 2 mils. Until I find out the operating expense, what it would be for 10 years. And that may have to do training. Right now, we pay for the training and everything. This would help pay for the training and equipment.
But the language could also indicate not to exceed.
Yeah. So, any other questions? No, I could put that in here for EMS too, but the township right now is they're with the West End, it's called the West End Township Emergency Services Authority. 5 of us, Tilden, Ely, Humboldt, Champion, and Republic, on the First Responders Authority, which will start up May 28th. The ambulance, eventually, we just got a DOT inspection on it. It will be given to them, leased or sold to them. We're looking with QPAD to look for a general location, which we believe is Humboldt. And because it has to be in a warm building. And then once that is up and running, their authority is there to get it through the state inspection to be an ambulance again. That will be up and running. We have 2 gentlemen in a volunteer fire department. They're taking the EMS course. If they showed up to first responders and they needed to, they can transport. But if they show up, they can't do anything more, even though they are trained to do more. They only can do by law what first responders can do. So it does benefit us if they showed up to drive someone to the hospital instead of waiting 40 minutes for an ambulance. So that's something that's coming down the road in another couple of months. We could put it on there and help pay for that, but the town general fund is paying $28,100 a year right now to be in that authority. That's our part of the budget. It's $100,000 budget to that authority. Each township has a different pie depending on their equalization, and that's how that works. Ely and Republic pay the most because we have the most in equalization. And Champion's less, Tilden's less, Humboldt's a little more. But I don't think we're gonna do that. We're gonna leave this for fire. We'll pay separately the EMS. Yes, sir.
On your list of equipment, you've got truck 2 and truck 3. What's truck 1?
Bill, can you answer that?
Our number 1 truck is the Ford. It's a 1987. That's our primary number 1 truck. That's the truck that leaves the hall first. That's the one that we're looking to get replaced.
Okay.
That's over 25 years old. That's past 25 years old.
What truck is down at the southeast or southwest corner?
That's our newest truck. That's truck number 3. Yeah.
And everyone knows about the red little pickup in the parking lot that you never see going anywhere.
I fought for 2.5 years for that truck. And we got it from the DNR, and it was pretty much what you see sitting in the parking lot. So we were hoping for something better from the state of Michigan, and that's what we got.
So this is one replacement.
Yes.
But that's the price from there, but I'm getting on a system with the state where we can get a better deal. This is just an estimate, but I found out where we can go trucks and other
Have you
equipment.
looked at any DRM loans and military installations? You can get them for pretty much nothing.
Yeah, but we want something new, nothing old. You can get a
Big
deal
surprise
through the
what
state.
military throws away. But that's what that truck is an ex-military truck.
Yeah.
We got it from the DNR, in Marquette, and that's what they gave us. I went there a dozen times in 2 years, and they had over 100 vehicles sitting there, and that's what they gave us. That's what they said, here, this is what you can have.
And then there's a,
Should've said we don't want it. Oh, beggars can't be choosers.
when they give you something free. But there is a program I find out that the townships and towns can get into with the state, I forget the name of it. And then you can go to a dealership and they'll give you a better deal. So, and then FEMA has grants for fire trucks and that, but you have to match grants. People don't understand that. And we don't have the money in the fire department to match those grants for trucks. So if we got this passed, we might be able to save money to FEMA and grants to get fire trucks. Like I said, the Fire Association of the county, Marquette County, is working on grants for radios. They're also working on other aspects of grants. To let you know, they don't care much about the UP up here, so most of the grants go downstate. We've gotten grants here, but a lot of the grants go downstate, is where the votes are. I hate to tell you that. Any more questions on it?
I have a clarification question. So the millage, proposal, as well as to replace aging fire equipment, is also needed for the ongoing operational costs that up to this point has been coming out of the general fund.
Yes, ma'am.
So that should, in reality, positively impact that general fund, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
For the whole city. Which, and then that was a thought before you said the thing about the grants. So there could be possible funds freed up to apply for all sorts of grants that would benefit us and put us in.
Right. If we get the millage, if the public passes the millage, we can take funds from that millage for grants. In the general fund, we are already got projects, which I'll explain, which we have to match money on that. And we have a capital improvement fund. So, the general fund is there, we pay all our bills, DPW, and then the treasurer can amend the budget anytime during a year to move money out of the general fund to a department, recreation, wherever we need it. Not sewer and water, because that's separate under an ordinance and paid for as a business within the town. But like that. But the fire millage if passed, we would use money to give.
We have some other money available. It would positively impact the general fund budget, right?
Yes, but how much I don't know until we have our budget meeting in March, which is required by law. And then we have at 6:45, March 23rd, we have a public hearing to accept that new budget for April 1st, 2023. That's when our fiscal year starts again. This month is very busy. Figure out money. Is there any more questions on it? Okay, I'd like to address one thing, if he could, it's not on the agenda, but I've been taught. I don't know how many people in the last 3 days. They're very concerned about their tax increase. Can you explain that is about why it's 5%?
In 1994, March 15th, 1994, I was an assessor that long ago. The voters in Michigan adopted Proposal A. Prior to Proposal A, you had those who've been around then, looked at your assessment change notice, you had a state equalized value and you had an assessed value. Your taxes were based on that state equalized and assessed value. There was no such thing as a taxable value. Prop A brought that in. The purpose, and this was during the John Engler administration, the purpose of that was to provide a value that provided more stability, more predictability for people that was adjusted by the rate of inflation each year. So ever since 1994, the taxable value's been in existence. The state equalized value, the assessor's job is to adjust it for market value, which is why you've seen pretty big increases because the market has increased in the UP quite a bit. The taxable value is limited by the rate of inflation. In the entire nearly 30 years since Proposal A has been in, we've been in relatively low inflationary times. And the last couple of years, it's starting to tick up, where this year, for the first time ever since 1994, we hit the maximum 5% on the CPI. And I should say we hit the 5% cap. The CPI is at just under 8%, but when the voters approved it, there was a secondary cap put in place of 5%. So we hit that for the first time ever. Going forward, it's tough to predict where it's going to go. Hopefully, inflation starts going, down, on it. But it's looking like it's still going to be right now. Everything that that I read and hear is still a high inflationary period. So that's the reason for it. It's designed to limit the taxes that people pay really under Proposal A by controlling the taxable increases based on the consumer price index. If you were to look at and you can do this when you look at your change notice, you'll probably, in most cases, you'll see a differential between your assessed value and your taxable value. A lot of them are 20, 30%. A lot of waterfront properties are sometimes 50% or more until the property transfers. And then that taxable value resets back up to the state equalized value, which is 50% of market value. So kind of a long-winded answer, but the taxable value was put in place to provide, more of a controlling mechanism. It's just, we are now officially in high inflationary periods or time, whereas when Proposal A came into being, it was a low inflationary, and it continued really up until the last, year and a half. So, does that answer the?
Michigan doesn't use fair market value, do they?
It does, it just calls it something different. It calls it true cash value, but true cash value is synonymous with fair market value. But the one difference is that we study, when a lot of you probably seen two equalize on your notice and you wonder what the heck does that mean? We study sales over a 2-year period. In this case, it's from March of 2020 through April of 2022. That sets the market conditions for this year that we're in right now. So it's a delayed 2-year study, and it tells you what's coming for next year because we're already behind and the markets continue to go way up. But does that answer?
Kind of. I mean, my principal residence is just over the line in Wisconsin, and we just saw fair market values 30% more, and it just creamed people's property taxes.
Yeah, Wisconsin, to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, does not have a taxable value.
They have an assessed value, but it's only used in the township
Right.
portion of the taxes. The
Right.
fair market's on the other. And the school district where I'm at just went through a referendum, promised $29 per 100,000.
Yeah.
And people saw 38% increase in their taxes and like, what the heck happened?
Yep. Yep.
But their fair market value went crazy.
Yeah.
And the fair market value wasn't basically established locally. It was done by the Department of Revenue without looking at the homes.
Yeah.
So people were like, whoa,
Yeah.
what's going on?
So Michigan would be in that same boat under the state equalized value if that were the taxable value, because that does equate to 50% of fair market value. It's just called true cash value in Michigan. So the same thing, and that little history lesson is back to 1994. That's how Proposal A came in. I remember I was the assessor for the city of Marquette back in that time, and I think we went through 2 weeks of hearings prior to Proposal A because the state equalized value, fair market value was the same. So if we had to raise, 30%, like your Wisconsin example, your taxes went up 30%. So the taxable value is, as hard as it is to see that 5%, increase, because we haven't seen that in 30 years, it still controls the increase to a large extent compared to what it could be if we still use that assessed or state equalized value.
And if you challenge your increase, are you not gonna say, okay, let's have it basically appraised? It's gonna be higher yet, more than likely.
Well, in most cases, the answer is yes, because by the nature of the system, we're running 2-year sales studies that are already lagged in time. So we're already behind, the times. So yes, in general, if you have an appraisal done, in most cases, it's usually gonna be more, but not always. There are, people come into the board review all the time with appraisals, and some of them are less. And that's what we need to see, that kind of information, but those are the exceptions. The rule is that it's usually higher. And as an assessor standpoint, we want to be on the conservative side. So I tell people, like, we try to keep these values as low as we possibly can on it, and work hard to keep it that way. It's hard when you have to, your average increase is 10% this year. That's a lot, because that means that some people are going to go up a lot more than that, and a lot of people did. And that's not something that we look forward to. We just have to all kind of get through it. But the good part is that 5% is high, yes, but it's not 30%, either.
Okay, I know this is coming before everybody in town when they saw their increase. To let you know, the assessors already worked on rivers and waterfronts outside of town, brought them up. Some of them still need to be brought up. Residential in town, selling for 20 to 40,000. They used to be. Now they're selling for 60 to 80,000. They will be starting to increase, so be prepared if you live in town. The benefit of this, when you go to sell your property, it gives everyone a benefit. It also benefits the town general fund to bring it up to where it's supposed to be. We're losing money as a township because of what was done in the past, not doing land values. To let you know, we hired Lowe, a great assessor, is a family business. His wife is a level 3, he's a level 4. His son just graduated and starting assessing. They've been working very hard to get this town straight. The state was gonna come in here and would have cost us, we're paying $15 a parcel to our assessor, which I believe is low. The state would have charged us $45 to $65 a parcel to come in here and take over our assessing. It was so bad. So just to let you know, we're doing far better than what we would have been doing if we let the state in here. We do not want the state in there, township. So I just want to let you know about that, because we got Marshall Board of Review, and I know a bunch of people are gonna come out of the woodwork, but that's what's going on with that. And if you got questions about your taxes and assessing, they're in the office every Wednesday from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the back room. And if you have you want to talk to them, you got a phone number you can reach them on and make an appointment. All right, so let's move on. Any more questions on the fire protection? Because there'll be another informational meeting like this in June to go over this again and what the wording is exactly. Okay, and I'll bring numbers on how many runs the fire department has, and the training, what it costs for training, and that they have to go through all that.
What it costs for a set of bunkers.
Is that what?
Bunkers, it's listed in there.
Yeah. And,
Or cheap either.
and I'm gonna tell you, you wanna know what they get paid to go risk their life to put the fire out? I raised it to $15 for one run. They can be there a whole day, they get $15. It used to be $9. I
Can't
still
pay them
think
too much, they go get another job.
one run, risk your life to go into a burning building, $15. They're a volunteer fire department, I grant you, but they're not like the old days in New York, where they get to take all the stuff out of the house and keep it. I'm just joking. That was in,
They do that now, don't they?
that's how the fire department started in one of them. They all raced to get to the fire, the first one there stole everything. But anyhow, let's move on to, law if you want. Okay, let's move on to roads, which I know some of you are here for. Let you know, $320,000 is being spent this summer. Park City Road, that goes out to 95, Dead Man's Creek, most people know about. From Mackey's to 95. Humboldt's doing their section for $105,000. They have a little over a quarter mile of road. Ours is 320, almost 321,000. This is being pulverized and brought back to a road. That means we're not laying like we did Hawks Drive, gravel and then asphalt, where it still moves. This is being redone the right way. It'll be a Class A road coming in town. It's scheduled for next summer. Payne and Dolan. There's only two companies that pave roads. That's Payne and Dolan and Baco. We want Payne and Dolan. It's a little more money, but we feel they do a better job. If you notice, Baco did Hawks Drive. And then, to let you know, in 2024, I'm looking to take to the board to do 1 mile and 3/4 from 601 on Benz River Road to Squaw Lake Road. Okay, that is $483,000 estimated at this year. The county will throw in $113,000 of money to that road. So I'm looking at roughly, it's gonna cost us about $350,000, somewhere around there. But these two roads, we will have plenty of money. I'll let you tell you, we have $133,000 now. We get the 22 millage rate of 2 mills, which will give us another $133,000. That's $266,000 that we'll have after April 1st in the road millage. We will be bonding for Park City Road and the dam at the same time, $350,000 of mill money for the dam to go for a spillway fish passion, which I'll explain later. Those two will be on one bond. It costs us about $10,000 for that. They'll be taken out of each millage as they pay. And how that works, it's 5-year bond. We would be paying on a bond for, let's say, $320,000 for Park City for 5 years. That's a little over $60,000. Then in 24, we would be paying the county for 5 years for $350. That's $60,000, let's say roughly. So that's $120,000 a year. That means we got 3 mills is about $320,000. So you take that 60 out of there, that'd be 120,000. 120,000 out of there, that still gives us 200 something adding into the road fund to set up for 2025, 26. We can't spend this money all at once, otherwise, because when we do a sewer line, a water line, we have to replace the road, we have to pay for half of it. The grant only pays for one half. And we're doing Coleman Avenue this year, hopefully, and the water plant. So those are the two roads we're looking at now. I talked to the county. River Road has a couple spots that flood every year and you can't get down it. They block it off. They're willing to look at it, see how much they'll throw in it, and we'll throw a little bit in it. Culvert going out of town is gonna be fixed right this time. We will pay money to do it right. I'm planning on putting a sewer manhole down there with rock in that and, a concrete culvert going across under the ground and one going down the road to move the water. French drain, if anyone knows what a French drain is. And in Hawks Drive, we got one that popped up, I already told them that needs to be fixed, and then two rocks shaped up. We're gonna look at the 18 road and see what we can do in the spring, what the cost is. What year we do that, I don't know, but we gotta look at the cost. Might just grind it up and bring it back to gravel. The people would like that. Cause no matter what you put down there, the loggies are still gonna wreck the road. It's asphalt or not. The other roads are Bankson, across Banks's Bridge, just grind that up and turn it to dirt. Most of the people over there said that's fine. There's a road coming in off, Willow Drive, 95, that one little stretch by the ski hill there, needs to be replaced. There's Maple Street, by the school coming down to Willow, there's one little section that should be fixed. All the roads in South Republic will eventually be fixed over time, because after we do the last water line up here, we'll be finding grants with the USDA to start changing out the water lines in South Republic. There's some galvanized pipe down there running water, dump pipe. So that has to be done, that will be done in time on the USDA. They only pay for half the road, we have to pay for the other half.
Water line's gonna be done before the road is put in, so
No, the road would be put in after the water lines are put in.
the road can be affected by replacing the water lines?
You have to dig up the road because the water line's right in the road. You notice you go down Pine Street, all them bumps? Those are all water lines being connected.
So are we doing the roads twice then, or just?
No. Once we get the grant to do certain parts of the roads, certain roads, I don't think they'll give us grant for the whole South Republic, it'll be done in section. We dig up the road, replace the line, and we put new road down. The curb work isn't gonna be done because that's very expensive. Unless we have to replace it. So that's what's going on with roads. We're looking at all the roads. To let you know, the study from the county, $12 million to bring Republic roads up to where they should be. I remember when these roads were paved last, late 60s, early 70s. They paved everything, they paved to a farmhouse. So Whitback Road, anyone been on Whitback Road? Of a cut across that goes to 601? That is a terrible road, but they paved it anyhow. And all there used to be there was a couple farms. There's a few more houses in it. So I remember when they were all done. If you know, Humboldt, 478, the Black River Road is being done this summer. Like, you know something else, in 2025, the county, did I tell you, is putting up from where you turn on 601 across the bridge to go toward the school, up to Isaac and John's house. They're putting guardrails up along the river and paving that road. That is grant money from the government. The county's doing that, scheduled for 2025. We don't have to put a dime into that. So that's a plus for us. So, is there any other thing on roads people would like to ask?
Of course. Well, you know, others may not know, I represent an ad hoc committee concerning Fence River Road, and that committee represents 137, I think, properties.
I have 183 petition signatures that live on a
137 different properties that use that road. So I've been asked to ask a couple of questions. The first one is, given that the county is taking some money for that repair, are we still stuck with the gravel base and then the pavement on top?
Yes,
There's no way around that.
no. You know how much it would be to grind it up and do it the way Frank says to do? And if you go down by the lake where you got the turn, that's all bog.
Yeah.
You're creating more of a problem. That used to be a logging road, and people came and bought property and went to the lakes and started living out there. Originally, it was a dirt logging road. And of course, the state had all this money, let's pave everything. So River Road used to be a railroad track. It used to be called Wagon Road back when, in 1800s, when the mine was running. Then they put a railroad down. There used to be a high road and low road. The high road's not there no more. It's a two-run. They use it as a snowmobile road now. So I know a lot of history from this town, even though I'm not born from here. Probably know more history about this town than most people born here. Okay? Because I've researched. Well, I know Ken Salo, Jim Kipple, they write stuff, they've done very cheap. I've learned so much from them on the history of this town and on the mine. So,
Okay, I have a second question.
yes,
A couple of people are concerned that the rest of Fence River Road, granted, the part that's going to be done is by far the worst, but the rest of Fence River Road, which goes another 3.25 miles, is out of the picture for at least the next 10 years because this bond is for 10 years?
no, the bond is just for Park City Road. If we go,
I mean,
the county is a different
I
one.
mean, the 2 mil, the 3 mils that we're now going to pay for the roads.
No, that's not out of the question yet, but I'm looking at other roads and it will be up to the board and what the cost is for your extra 3 miles of road out there, Fence River.
Well, it probably doesn't all need to be done, but some of it.
Right, but I wanna get the worst part because most of the kids live in that section and the schools ask about that. Let everyone know, Fence River is one of 2 roads in this county that they get charged an extra fee to have deliveries done on that road because it's so bad. One guy built a house out there, had windows delivered. The windows were all broken. He got insurance to pay for it. They brought another load. He had to come out to 95, put them on his trailer and take them to his house. That's how bad that road is. I know everyone has it in Fence River Road. So that is what we got planned the first couple years for now. Still looking at River Road, all the other roads, bring all the numbers together and see what we can do. What it's gonna cost me to, the other half of Coleman and that, so it's still a numbers game. We don't wanna use everything up in 10 years. We wanna, and we might only do part of it. Maybe I'll get more money from the county. Like, you know, I went to the county commissioners board meeting last month and I asked them to put on the ballot a countywide millage of 0.25. They gave me a song and dance saying they gave the county road commission $2 million of COVID money for for chip seal business.
Yeah.
You know how much 2 million of the road does? 6 miles of road maybe. Okay, chip sealing, you can get more out of it, but it's a man. So all the counties around us have millage. They give me a song and dance, it's Lansing. No, it's Marquette, Ishpeming, and Nagani. They're afraid of their voting base. I said, what are you afraid of? Let the people make a decision. They'll either vote for it or vote it down. They all have to drive on township roads once they leave the city. I said, you drive in Ishpeming off their main road, they're worse than our rural roads. So, I also went after them on natural gas amendment. I was on, I don't know if you saw, I was on one of the TV stations speaking. And I will be back to them next month and the month after. And I'm getting a letter written together to get all the townships to go on it to ask go out for a county-wide ballot. Because they've undercut the road commission very big. To let you know, the road commission is moving all their personnel is retired. Their superintendent is retired, their engineer's retired, and Mark Hamilton out here at the county building's retired too. So all new personnel's coming.
Some of that's very good news.
Okay, so,
My last comment was, we need to do a lot of trying to get rid of the youth vote to get this. We appreciate it.
well, I'm trying. I'm glad the public, people voted for the 3 mills to move something, because what it was before, every 4 years, 5 years, we generate enough money to do maybe 1 mile road, right? This way we can do multiple things. So I thank the public for that. right, any other questions on roads?
I get one. Back to Fence River, which of course I'm out there as well. Is the county responsible for doing temporary action for this township?
No, it's county road,
Okay, that's what I thought.
they should be patching the holes and all that.
Well, exactly what I'm saying. I walked the whole road last year. There was over 400 spots. I counted them. And I marked them with red paint. I called. They came out. But they only fixed about half. So I called again this spring.
Wait
And
till
once they did it, it was pretty darn good.
Wait till after May, because all new personnel will be in the higher position.
Well, obviously what's really recommended is the logging trucks. They're heavy.
Yeah, they're not, and I'm gonna tell you right now, the logging money for taxes they pay, the state gives Marquette County Road Commission $310,000 that tax money. That's not enough. They use that money for sweeping streets, townships, culvert repairs, that. So it isn't much that you get back from the logging tax money. And since Fence River, the 18 road, River Road are considered dead end. They don't go nowhere. But we know you can go somewhere on it. That's why you can't get federal funding for it. Because they go nowhere. The county's gonna throw some money there on River Road, don't know about the 18 road.
Well, if you got a bad road, you can call the county and complain. I did, just to tell them, and they came out almost immediately. And I actually saw them, talked to them, but they kind of cherry picked what I had,
Yeah.
painted on the road. So
Well,
get it again, get it maybe one more time, we're gonna have most.
I'll tell you who to call. Your county commissioner on the west end is Joey DeRoche. Call him. Tell him to come out here, take a ride down this road. Because a gentleman on River Road called the county commissioner, called one of the board members on the road commission. They came and drove the road. Now they're gonna act on some of the road, the low spots. So, you gotta go to the top dog. I'm just a little guy trying to play politics, and I'm not a politician. So, all right, anything else on road? All right, let's move on to the Republic Dam. You know, I'm the secretary of the Michigan River Basin Water Resource Tax Increment Finance Authority, big thing. Michigan River Basin Authority. It's been in existence since 2008. It was put in existence to try to set a water level for our basins, to keep our town a recreational area, also to keep our property values up. If that river stays down all the time, eventually, might take 10 years, property values will decrease along the river, and it will decrease along in town. It affects everyone within the range of that river. So that's what will happen. So, we've been working since 2008. We finally got the people's support on millages. And this next millage is for 5 years. We're going for bonding for $350,000. We are applying next week for permitting of a spillway fish passage. We did a 2D model of the hydraulics of the fish passage. They liked it so well, the DNR called us and asked if they could use it in a training session. So hopefully we'll get grant money. We applied $250,000 for removal of the dam grant. We already have a $100,000 grant to go into that. We applied for a new grant on risk management for dams for $750,000. We've already put in almost $500,000 into the dam. We spent $50,000 to buy the dam. We spent another $50,000 to change the gates so we could permit the dam for 5 years and run it. The dam cannot be operated after April 2023. We did put in our permitting process to ask to operate the dam until we got the funds to finish the project. So we're looking at, this project is estimated at $1.5 million from the start to the end. That's called, we've already paid almost $150,000 to the engineer firm. It's gonna cost us another $170,000 to finish the engineering and the permitting process with Eagle. We're hoping we get the grants. If we get the permit, we can still operate the dam, and we have 5 years to complete the project if they give us the permit. So your money, I appreciate the voters approving this. This is very important. The Township recreation, the campground. This year, 3 weekends, different weekends, somebody's rented out the whole campground. The whole campground, 3 different groups. So, and it's packed every summer. The campground's making money, and we only have 23 lots of it. So, it's a plus for us. If we lose that river, they're just coming here one night a week. But that's what's going on with the dam. We're moving forward on that. The 350,000 would be bonded at the same time we do the 320 on the roads. And so much would be taken out of the dam millage money to pay for that bond, and so much out of the road millage to pay for the road part of it. So, and that's the easiest way to go by law. We should bond because the Treasury Department, they're very strict. Where you spend your money, how you do it, capital, all that. It'd be a capital improvement. And that is just bonding that. Now down the road, we would go for bonding for other projects. When we go down the road, for other road projects, let's say we put 2 more roads on, we got the bond for that. Or we use the county, they allow you 5 years, and they take so much a year. Otherwise, if we go without the county, which we really don't like to always go with the county because Payne and Dolan does a better job. But the county gives you a little bit of money back. So it all depends on numbers, how we can get the best bang out of our dollar.
Get money back doesn't help if they don't do it right.
That's what they're doing. Everyone's doing the gravel and the asphalt on top. The problem is the road underneath is still asphalt, so the road still moves and cracks. That's why Hawks Drive, we spent last year $16,000 to crack seal. Otherwise, we'd lose a lawsuit. So, it's either you spend a lot more money to pulverize. This road originally was, $280-some thousand, just laying gravel and doing what they did on Hawks Drive. Pulverizing and doing it added another 100,000 to it. So, how do you balance out your money for 10 years and still get something done? What they did at Hawks Drive should last 5 years. If you fix the cracks. It should last up to 5 to 10 years.
That's just terrible.
You hope it lasts. That's all I can do with the money. Like I told you, it's $12 million as of today's numbers to get this town's roads fixed. That's what the county.
Right on track.
Yeah, right on the check. But that's what's going on with roads. And I'll have more for roads at our next information meeting. I plan on having at least 3 of these a year, filling people in on what we're doing. Because I've never seen any of you but 3 of you at board meetings. So I like to get the word out on what we're doing. The newsletter doesn't tell you everything. And hopefully the word will get out. Yes, sir.
Is the new county road engineer going to be any less in favor of this crappy method they're in favor of now?
That, he doesn't have much say because they have a road commission board. And the board dictates to them, and the county commissioners dictate to that board, basically. They say they don't have no say, but they have money control. So, yeah, so it's everything flows downhill.
Do your hydrologic studies indicate anything about how the flow is, how it will differ from the dam?
Okay, I have a map up there on the thing. What will be taken out, the east side of the dam will will stay. Okay, the concrete walls and everything, the channel. It will be raised so water can't go over that side. We do not want to dig up that side because when they built in that channel from the electric plant that was there, does not want to be disturbed. It'll become an environmental hazard. They got some, I don't know what's down there, I don't even want to know. But according to the Lindbergh, Roger Crimmins, they did it for CCI and filled that in. They don't want to touch that. So what we did was move it all the way to the west side, almost to Hawks Drive. That emergency retaining wall will be taken out, the dam will be taken out. You know where the old Rock Creek Dam is now? When it's low, that will be redone. It will be raised to 1492. It will have a 2.5-inch slope going all the way through the old dam, all the way to the end. And there'll be little pools, different sizes, with channels of rocks that the fish, different sizes will go up. The study shows certain fish will go right up with the high velocity, other fish will go over the low velocity. And they will sit in these pools and get rest and go to the next level and eventually come up and over. It's a very amazing. I will get that on the website where you can go and punch up and see this 2D model. The hydraulics says even in a flood, we're safe. The most that might happen is Hawk Drive might get water over there. But the way they have it now, no. The flow rate down past the rapids, it shouldn't change anything. It shouldn't change anything. It's just a slope, basically what it's got now.
Once it's done, it levels out, it'll go back to normal.
Yeah, it's like a bathtub. Water comes in, it goes over. The spring runoff will be higher just like it is now. If you took that dam away, it would flow faster and less buildup. And we're gonna have a rough spring runoff because we got over 2 feet in the high country yesterday.
What's the elevation of the dam now, the concrete portion?
Oh, it's 1497.
Okay, so 5 feet lower than the dam.
Then the mine used to keep it at 1494. If it went below 1485, they were up at Lake Michigan at that dam with pumps putting water in the river to operate this mine. They did it twice. Okay? They did it twice. I'm gonna tell you something about that dam. 1849, first surveyors that came to this town was on the west side of where the dam is. They surveyed this town in a little log cabin, 4 of them. On the surveyor's notes was an 18-foot waterfall there. You tell me what fish jumps 18 feet. But the state's mandating us to get rid of the dam, and we came up with putting a fish ladder. They've been fighting us for the last 7 years. They finally come around. Originally, we were gonna cut the dam down and use the dam as a spillway. Then they said, no, you need a fish passage. The fish have to come up river. They never did in 1849. Well, there was, right in this thing, it said 18-foot waterfall with a 900-foot rapids with an Indian portage trail. Because the Indian use it as a highway. So, they still want their fish passes. So, we've been working on this every year. It's 10% more, 10% more in cost. So we're trying to get this done. Hopefully we get it done. We need to live here for our recreational purpose. So your money's being spent well, and hopefully we get this done. We spent a lot of money to get to this point. So, and we get it, besides your mail money, we get an increment from taxes because it's a TIFA. It's only $37,000. Basically, it costs us about $15,000 to run the TIFA for insurance and everything. So, the board members don't get paid. They're volunteer. Okay, anything else on the dam? Okay, let's move to natural gas. Monday at 9:30, Jen Hill, representative that was just elected for Sarah Kibensky, is calling me and we are discussing, I've already talked to Senator McBroom. A legislator has to submit it for amendment of Act 188 special assessment. It's an infrastructure bill. You can do electric sidewalks, roads, water, sewer, electric. You can do everything in that infrastructure and find money from the government to help support that and pay them back in bond. Well, they don't have natural gas lines, so we're asking a representative to submit it to legislation to amend Act 188 to put in natural gas lines. If this happens, Simcoe is also put into the state, adding us into their program for a grant to help to try to put it in. It's 2.5 million, which Simcoe would put in $1 million. It would be the station where you go at 478, 601. They would have to put a station there to reduce the pressure. Then they've already done bore samples all the way through our town. And the line would come in, 380 people could connect to it if they want. We have about 160 some people said they would do it. We need at least 150 to make it economical. If we can get a grant for 40 years and get this done, it would be an extra person that's on the gas line. They would pay anywhere from $8 to $10 more than what their gas bill would for the 40 year. If you sold your house, the next person would have to still pay that on their thing. So that's what we're looking at doing. We have not stopped looking to get natural gas in here, but we have to find the money because we cannot afford that. We cannot expect a customer to eat that cost, all that cost. So I just let you know, we're still working on the natural gas line. And I'm talking to our representative. Also brought it to the county commissioners. I'm giving them a letter to sign to support us and send it to Lansing also, to the governor. They said they would. So that's where we're at that. Anything on natural gas anyone would like to talk about? Okay, moving on, recreation. On the outside there, you'll see a little map. We own 90 acres on River Road, where the snowmobile trail is. If you're going down River Road, you see the 2 train rails that are up right to your right, the snowmobile trail that goes up. We own all that up to the, behind there, except for that log cabin is, there's 5 acres cut out. I won't even go into all that happened. So you'll see a map of the bike trails and walking paths. Is $280,000 roughly. We put in for a spark grant for that, which is COVID money. We were turned down. Only one person in UP got that money, and that was a suit. There's 2 more rounds of COVID money, 50 million each round. We'll apply for that. We are applying for a trust fund grant and a passport grant to try to develop that. Then that takes match money. The match money for the Spark grant was 10%. We were looking at 28% to match. The trust fund grant, we're looking at $42,000 to match that, and 17.5 to match the passport grant, which will give us $273,000, something like that. And if we got that, that would do that project. If we don't get it, we keep applying, trying to get that in. Biking is a big thing. It's going across everywhere. In Ishmael, they put them down in Escanaba. And it's, and the state likes to give out the bike trails now. So we're trying to develop that and bring more people here. And then we have disc golf now. It'll be finished up early spring. They just have to do a little touch up there, and then we'll decide to put pads in after the people play on it and find the right place to put the pads for teeing off. We plan on putting another 9 holes in. They have 18-hole disc golf up there, and there's some money and put a little pavilion and just a cover up there too. There is the wetland reserve, working with Humboldt Planning Commission. We're gonna try to get in there with trails again. The state says, no, you can't do nothing out there because it's being, brought back. Well, how do you show the people that you brought it back unless they can go out there? You know, so there's these silly rules they got. So we're trying to work on that with a little pressure with the politicians. And Humboldt owns half of it, believe it or not. It's called the Republic Wetland Reserve. Half of it's in Humboldt. So I'm working with them. There's a pavilion talk about putting a pavilion up over by the pine trees where the Derby has their beer tent and all that. It'd be basically the same size as Munson Park, but it will be, laminate, lambs made out of it. It'd have tongue and roof ceiling. It'd be a little bigger, and a concrete floor, and it'd be where you can have bands, weddings. You'd be on a flatter surface, where Munson Park, you're on a hill, you only can do so much there. So there is a couple groups in town willing to put money into it. We have put that on hold because they have said until we get a fire protection passed, nobody wants to donate money to anything else until they get that passed, just to let you know. I can't tell you to vote for it or vote against it, but they want us to hold on that. And that realistically, you're talking $70,000, $80,000 for that kind of pavilion. We only have about 40,000 capital improvement right now, which we would have to use some of that money on matching grants if we go with the 92 acres. So that's still up in the air what we're gonna do. If we got any of this grant for the 90 acres out there, it'd be a year away. So we could put budget money away this year so much, and then next year to finish the project, if we got the grant. We won't know until December if we got any of the grant. So that's a ways off. So that's a project in the works. And we're looking for volunteers that will be in the paper, be posted. All the picnic tables at the campground have to be restated. All of them. We also have some playground equipment that needs painting. And we're looking right now, we got grant, letters out to foundations, looking for some money or equipment to upgrade Paul's Park down there by School Lake for some equipment for younger kids over there, and also for the beach if we can get some. The playground equipment you saw at the beach that's up there costs $37,000. This stuff is not cheap when it's made of plastic. So, when you look at these playground people have, just think of our little ones, 37, look at the big ones, think of what they cost. So, but we're looking for small little bouncy horses and that, something for little kids over here that don't cost that much. So we got a bunch of letters up. Stephanie Christian here is a rec committee chairperson, and she's been, also took a grant writing class for us, and she's been working on that. We haven't got no response back from that. So we're still looking for volunteers that'll be out. And there's rec meetings every first Thursday of the month at 7 o'clock. And then you're welcome to come to the rec meetings and find out what's going on. Back there is Daniel. I don't know your last name, Daniel. Robert. He is he's doing the disc golf course up there. He's working on that. He's been doing a great job. So he's in charge of that up there, and he's on the rec committee. So anything that anybody has on recreation. Okay, moving on. Digitizing the cemetery. It's in the process. Should be up and doing by the spring. We got someone working in town hall, giving all the information we have, every person that's passed away, every person that owns a plot up there, where they're at in the section, everything. Their tombstone will be a picture of it. All this is being put into a program by, Tri-Media. We already got a contract with them. So you go out there to the cemetery, and if I have to, we'll put a booster out there. You go to your phone into the certain website that will be posted out there, and you can find, put their name in there. It will give you what section they're buried, where they're buried, the headstone, who owns it, all that information will be on there. Eventually, we'll put a kiosk out there, so you don't have to use your phone or someone that well versed on the phone. So that's going on. If you haven't been out there, our cemetery is a very beautiful cemetery. It has a lot of history. And if you go to a kiosk or see the phone, you'll see some of these graves go back almost to when this town was founded. So it's just amazing. And it's very pretty at night with the lights that our people are putting out in there. But don't let that eagle get you when you're out there. With John Micken carved that eagle for us, if anyone knows who John Micken is. He did a great job. So John moved down to Gaylord making all them little wooden things and selling them like crazy. So that's what's going on with the cemetery. Let you know what's coming to town in the spring. On our tower over there, Verizon's coming. They're putting a 10-inch, 10-foot, 360 antenna up on our tower up there in the spring. They will be paying the town $1,300 a month to have it up there. They asked if they could do that. We said, yes, our service here stinks.
Is it gonna reach the Township of it?
Yeah, it'll reach everywhere. If you live over where I live, that magnetic pile might mess you up, but no, it's a 360. And
That's what I mean, that magnetic pile in the middle of it, isn't it?
no, it's right here.
Yeah, but it's.
The rest is in the ground. The main pile's right here. This ore right here in that pile is richer what they're mining right now at Tilden. It's richer in ore than what they're mining. Eventually, it's gonna go, simply when the price is right. But,
Once they figure out how to match it.
well, what they did, why they closed this mine down, is 65% pure ore. And it was eating up their grinders, eating them up. So why keep spending money here when they got another mine that's easier to buy? And also, Minnesota, so there's ore all over. We got ore running from here to Fence River, up River Road. There's ore under this ground, under this town. There's shafts under this town big enough to drive those big trucks through. A lot of people don't know that. All filled with water now. So that's what's coming. If you got Verizon, you'll have better service. If you got AT&T, I can't tell you, but I get rid of AT&T if I just for them, what they're doing anyhow. So
Can Verizon say how far their radius will go out?
the rates,
How far will you think?
no, but I can find that out for you.
Interesting to know, because it is pretty crummy, even when you get down just,
Because they don't have no towers out here.
nobody does.
The only, yeah, they do, T-Mobile, AT&T does down there
Just
by Lee Erickson Park. They just upgraded their digital service there.
Verizon has one down by Wicks Lake.
Yeah, that's too far away.
From what we've heard, because we got Verizon, we've had trouble with it. They shut off all the 3G, which had the longer distances. So
Well, that's,
Verizon's going to shit around here.
well, 3G's obsolete. Okay, it's obsolete.
Yeah, right.
So they're upgrading, just like AT&T and T-Mobile upgraded their system down there at their facility just now. Matter of fact, I'll have something next week on that. We're finding out, they haven't closed out their permit yet, so we can get some money from them. So that's what's going on with Verizon. I'll have more of an update in the spring. Yeah.
Does that mean when this, antenna's up and running, that the whole town will have service, because there's a couple blocks over here
That I cannot guarantee that you'll have service, but I think if you've got Verizon, you might get better service than AT&T. Yeah, because you live between that pie on it. I have to use Wi-Fi to get service at my house. Okay? So that's why I'm saying we might have to have a booster or something at the cemetery to be able to get. That, believe it or not, I tried to get them to go to the water tank, which is higher. But no, they wanted to tell.
I have, a signal on the tank from over there, will that work too?
It was, like you said, if you notice, we got from the beach, from the bank building, they're kicking service to our in here recording cameras now. So it's possible to do that stuff. It costs money. It only costs us, what was it, John, I think $2,900 to put in, 5 cameras in a new system that records up to 2 weeks. Because this camera, by law, when you have elections, you must be recording your elections. Okay? We didn't have that service. So, by law, elections have to be recorded video. So hopefully I'll know more and I'll find out about distance and what they're kicking out, all that stuff. And get that back in June. I should know something about that. It might be up and running by then. Okay, here's another big one. Everyone heard about the solar panel? You never heard about the solar panel farm going off of Granite Lake Road in Republic Township? They have decided to leave us and move to Humboldt. Because it would have cost them too much money to get to the substation in our township. So they've leased 5,000 acres of land in Humboldt to logging companies and whoever. And now they've come to us to ask if they can have access to our property to get to the substation. Okay, or buy land north of the cemetery, which we were planning on surveying and selling that off eventually anyhow. So Wednesday, March 1st at 10 a.m., I have a meeting with Humboldt Planning Commissioner, supervisor, clerk, the solar panel farm people, and one person from our planning commission to discuss what's going on, and I will be bringing it to our board in March on what they would like to do. So if anything, they will be coming through our township. It benefits Humboldt for road millage. It benefits our schools still with school millage. It doesn't benefit our roads. So that's the only thing. And if you research this, I don't know how big their facility is. I've got someone downstate that just sent me all kinds of information. They actually make a bunch of noise. These big farms. I mean, so I asked Humboldt if they had an ordinance on how the solar farms are. No, they don't. They're working on it. We are gonna be working on it. We have wind ordinance for windmills and that. We do not have nothing for solar. So we have to do something, so they can't come in and just do whatever they want. So they're restricted under conditional use permit. So just to let you know, that's in the works. It does benefit us if they come through our township or buy land. It helps give us money. Just like the recreational marijuana facility, everyone. A lot of people we get big revenue from that. It's legal and we get money from that. Big revenue, to let you know. Next thing, anything on solar farm?
Yeah. How are they accessing? We're on Island on Granite Lake Road,
They're not doing it.
so they're not going back in.
Nope.
Okay,
That station they had that back there doing testing.
Yeah.
I'll find out more on Wednesday or next week, but they are moving that whole thing out of there, okay? I talked to the,
what they were doing with the road and stuff like
no,
that.
they're
How is
leaving,
it
you're leaving your area now. It's
Okay.
too costly to get to the substation. So they wanna get closer. I will not, the town board has agreed, we will not sell the west end of Birch Lake, which we own. It's mainly wetlands and it's access to the Birch Lake, and the township owns it. We will not give that up. We'll let them go across, access across it. But we might sell them land north of the cemetery or give them access, easement rights through the property, which we give the gas line people, we give the electrical companies easements rights through our township. So it'd be like that. Now, the money they're gonna give us, I don't know yet. And it's gonna be crazy. So, anything else?
So you saying 5,000?
I heard 5,000 acres of lumber property or private property. I know. Well, what they do is they lease that, they have to try to make it environmentally sound to put it, they can't put it in wetland. You know, how their design is yet, I don't know. Whether Humboldt will allow it or not. You know, so it's a combination of work with Humboldt and us now. Before it was just in our township. Now Humboldt's coming in. And I don't know if you know their planning commissioner, Jim Kippola. He worked for the county for 38 years. He's right on top of this. So I'll take what he says to a lot of what we do. He's very, very upon this stuff. He rezoned K.I. Sawyer. He was in charge of resource management for the county. So now he's their planning commissioner. He also has a farm on 478 Black River Road.
Probably need 5,000 acres, so they can charge all the tests.
Yeah, well, that's all I've heard. Until I get more facts, I'm just letting the public know this is it. All right, moving on to the last issue I have. You have in your packet I gave you a millage that's gonna be on the ballot in August, is a renewal millage for the Iron Ore Heritage Trail. And if you look, it is where is it? No, we don't have it. Oh, here it is. Okay, it's for 6 years. And it's only 0.1970. Okay, if you have a house for 20,000, so it's what do we figure, a little less than $10. A little less than $10 for 20,000. A little less than $20 on 40,000. So on and so on. I know this is what you've been paying for 6 years already. So it's not really adding any more taxes to you what you have now. I can't tell you to vote for it or vote against it. I sit on the Iron Ore Heritage Trail Board for Republic Township. They have put in $25,000 for the Welcoming Center. They have just spent $60,000 last year putting in more of that bicycle rock in town here and changing out some culverts. They've given us more money than we put into it. And they'll still maintain it whether we take it or not, renew it or not. They still will maintain it. But this is up to the voters. I just want to let you know this is the language that will be on the ballot. Okay? And it's not even close to 1 mil. What if there's one? I don't even understand what 0.19 is.
20th of a percent.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's very minimal.
2 cents on the dollar.
And they're asking Humboldt to do it this time and Ely Township. They're the only two on the trail system that are on it, but benefit on it because the Iron Ore Heritage Trail fixes their trail. When a culvert washes out, a bridge washes out, they do not have bicycle rock on it. Okay? They would all get $360,000 for the bicycle rock we replaced in Humboldt. So they're waiting. Humboldt, last time they put it on their ballot, lost by 2 votes. 2 votes. Now they got people asking to have it. So it's going back on their ballot too. So I just want to let you know this is coming on the ballot too. It doesn't change what you're paying in taxes. Now, it would reduce 20% of your millage. But the only thing I'm really asking you to raise is we raise the road millage 1 mil, which benefits everybody. And we're asking for fire protection, which is 2 mil. So we're really increasing, I tell you the truth, 3 mils than what you were paying a year ago. But the 3 mils, to me, is a good investment for the future of this town. I really do believe so. If you go back, I can let people, for your request, go back in the minute book, look at what went on in this town. In a minute. To see, the spillway should have been put in. A bond should have been done for fire, millage should have been done for fire and rescue and EMS. There should have been a higher road millage. This road millage really didn't start until 2010, and slowly increased from 1 mil to 2 mil. Now we're at 3 mil. So now we can start doing something with roads over time. I won't be around, I don't think, in 10 years. If I am, great. But I want to set this town up for the next generation. Okay, I've been coming to this town since the 60s, Black River Farm, hunting and coming up here. Moved up here in the 70s, left this area, and came back here 2008. Since then, I've been fighting for this town to get transparency and let the people know, and let my board know ahead of time to vote on something, not at the meeting. And if I'm not transparent, let me know. If there's a question you want to know, ask me. If I don't know it, I will find out the right answer. I work 24/7. I have people call me at 10 o'clock at night. I don't mind answering the phone. That's my job. I took this office for the people. I work for you. I don't work for me. I have ideas. The board has ideas. We try to talk and bring them together and see what we can do best for the town. What's best for the town, not for one group or another group. Not what great for Fence River or River Road or the 18 Road, or what's good for the town. What's best for the whole town as one. Remember, we work for you. And the only way I can work for you the best is to get ideas from you. And that's what I ask for. You can always call me and give me ideas. You can always leave a slip of paper in that box, giving your ideas, and I will receive it. But we have to move forward. If we don't have fire, that your insurance is gonna go up. We have to shut down the fire department. Because we got trucks that need done. The state will mandate us to get rid of them. So that's where we're at. Any questions on any subject, anything you would like to ask me? All right, well, we'll close this out at 4:43, and I thank you for coming.
342.
3, okay, all right, I thank you for all coming. And to let you know, there's tennis golf over there